Yo, what's up? I am now getting going on the Bell Jar. Final 5 chapters. Here we go. Oops, wrong button. Okay. And we're going to be going over the Bell Jar chapters 16 through 20 and finish this off. Here's what's been happening so far. I have to actually catch myself up a bit because, dude, it has been hard reading this during my vacation. So next time I will not overpromise my streaming schedule. Wow, this one was kind of it was a rough time. But with that out of the way, let me get into the actual story. Where are we right now? Oh, she's in the hospital, and I'm forgetting some of these characters right now because it's been a while. But she's getting worse and worse in the hospital, and the sort of pertinent feature that I'm noticing is it's very understated. We're not hysterical about the things that are happening in this hospital. It's interesting, and I have to say, in the whole scheme of things, my general enjoyment of this story is not super high. I would say it's somewhere in the range of like out of 10. I'm enjoying this maybe like, I don't know, 3 or 4 really out of 10, which is not really high. Not really my kind of story because I do like language. I like well constructed sentences, and we don't get a lot of that. Every once in a while we do, but we don't. Especially for a poet, I was kind of expecting more. And in terms of the story, there are some interesting formal experiments going on where we kind of jump around in time a bit, and so our nature, our grasp on time is a little slippy, and we have a sort of ironic distance between the way the story is told, the voice of the character, the main character here, and the actual events of the story. There's some distance there that makes it kind of interesting, formally speaking, but I don't know. There's just not that much for me to chew on, because the themes are just the themes, and this reads. It's not. I wonder if this could have been more effective actually as a short story because of the length of this story. It feels closer to like a diary or a memoir. Well, not like a loose memoir, rather than I guess literature with a capital L. You know what I mean? So that's my current assessment, but who knows? It could change in the last 5 chapters. So we'll see what happens when we get into it. All right, so that's it for me right now. Let's get into the story itself. Chapter 16. Joan. So Joan is one of these girls from back home that she didn't really like because... And there was a moment when Buddy took Joan out to like a prom because Joan was like alone or something, and Buddy was being a good boy by just asking her out. And that's what I remember about Joan right now. And Joan has a room. Weird. Joan is not a visitor. Joan has a room. Weird. Did not expect that. What's happening with Joan? Let me remind. She went to our college, was a year ahead of me in college. She went to our church. What else do we know about Joan? Okay. We don't really know that much more about Joan. I'm kind of distracted by something I'm seeing on my screen. No, no, okay. I'm just confused there. Okay. Back to the story. I read about you and I ran away. Hey, crazy girl Esther, you actually inspired me to be crazy too. you know, bunions, rubber shoe boots. This is crazy. This is an interesting paragraph, like this sort of self-doubt about whether this person is crazy or not. Which all of us have felt, right? We're talking to somebody, and we're like, is this person crazy? Um, but but now we know that Esther herself is crazy, and as an unreliable narrator, it's like, who's actually crazy? It's just throwing a lot of questions into the air. An ambiguous smile, terribly. Okay, we're starting to believe the story. Esther is starting to believe the story of Joan. 18 separate eyes. That is kind of a creepy way of describing 9 people. I could see the dollars. Okay, group therapy. I was growing involved in spite of myself. That's not even human. That's just what I said. Okay, so right now we're in the moment of gossip. Hey, Derek. No, I didn't take the June SAT. And heads up, I will be doing an SAT stream later on. If you go to my page, you'll see that I have an SAT stream. Bloomingdale. So she has a picture of her in Bloomingdale clothes. It's a picture of herself, and she can't recognize herself at first. This is kind of an interesting little moment. Scholarship girl missing, mother worried. Yeah, sorry, I won't be able to talk about the SAT right now, but later on I will. Wearing let's see. Call the damn police. So it's interesting that right now this character, Esther Greenwood, is learning about herself through the news. Spinach picking summer. Encourage your daughter to return home. Oh, dude. This is formally very interesting, actually. The sort of flashback, and this is actually this might be the first time I feel rewarded for the literary technique for my analysis of the literary technique. I've been noticing the slippiness of the time this entire story, but I was like, why though? Like, what's like? I mean, other than the fact that that's kind of like roughly emulates how a person with a psychotic episode might remember the past. Like, what's like the reward? I don't feel any joy from the skipping around in time, but here we're kind of like filling in some of those holes retroactively, right? And that is like a minor reward for all of the moments of like passing over the events of the story, and it's so I'm kind of excited by this part right now. Oh, I thought it would be easier to kill myself in New York. Oh, dude, what the what the hell? What a crazy sentence. I thought it would be easier to kill myself in New York. But you're all right now. I guess so, aren't you? I'm starting to remember some of the tension of the story. Like right now, the big boogeyman in the story is the lobotomy. And we're sort of like edging towards the lobotomy. And maybe we get one, maybe we don't get one. I don't know. But it's kind of like, it's sort of the at least as a 21st century reader who's distant from the lobotomy but kind of knows roughly what it is, like it's kind of just like kind of vague and scary. Trying to remember who Bannister is. Night nurse. Night nurse. Twisted into a quick smile. You've had a reaction. Funny. A reaction to what? Right? What's going on? You'll be better in no time. What are we talking about, right? I didn't know how many days. Interesting. This is touching back on that time. Time is pretty warped in this world that we're in. You're not to have any more visitors. Wow, that's wonderful. I thought you'd be pleased. Huh, interesting little exchange. Okay. Christian Scientist little description here is kind of funny. Unitarian Church. Measuring my fat and stringy hair against what she had been, what they wanted me to be. Oh, that's actually a painful experience, yeah? Utterly confounded. What she had done wrong. She was sure the doctors thought she had done something wrong. Oof, painful. Toilet training. Saved them for my funeral. Oh my god. It's your birthday and I hate her, I said. I suppose you do. Weirdly creepy here, okay? Weirdly creepy with the Dr. Nolan here. Okay, chapter 17, here we go. Before I go into chapter 17, I feel like I should type something because I'm getting a sense that we're getting visitors who are interested in SAT today. I'm going to type this into the chat so people can see. Okay. All right, with that out of the way, let me just get back. I feel like my face is having an allergic reaction to something. I feel a little... Okay, let's get past this. I'm going to keep going, chugging along. Chapter 17, here we go. What do we know about bell size? Okay, we don't know anything. So this is the first time bell size or bell sees is coming out. Belses, maybe? Anyway, it's the first time it's coming out. So this is, again, one of those techniques where we just sort of jump around and our sense of time is very warped and we just hear words and we're just dropped into it. It's like in media res. If you guys know that term, in media res, when you're dropped into the middle of the story, we're getting in media res over and over and over and over again. Her breathy voice. It's actually kind of scary, dude. Just like a whole group of people getting shock treatments. Out of danger for that day. Intense. I honestly kind of wish this half of the story started a lot earlier in this book. Kind of just, yeah. I feel like the lead up to this was a little slow. Here we go. These women are talking about their doctors. Like a dim and inferior acquaintance. Okay. Oh, how the turntables. Um, the the Joan is now the superior person in this case. We're paranoid. We're paranoid about the gossip right now. Vassar, a society woman.
Are we eating there or are we bringing? Doesn't matter. Why? No, just one. Saul's gonna be working here, so we, I'm talking to Marcus. So, he can eat there, cause Saul said he just did leftovers in the house.
I'm gonna use the restroom really quick. Let's go.
Okay. A lot of gossip there. A lot of gossip there. A lot of this and that. I'm kind of just zooming through. I'm trying to find something to hook my interest on, and here we're sort of getting introduced to these characters. But you know what's like a negative fallout of this like technique of like just dropping us in and out of these episodes is I don't really find any of the characters and their thoughts that worth. They don't seem that much worth my time. That worth my time. That worth my time. So you know they feel light and sort of disposable to me. Warm and placid, cocoon, comfortable, Mrs. Savage's sleepy voice, mild stir of pleasure, resign myself if I was going to fall, whatever that means. And we're going to have her small comforts, always changing nurses. Oof. this freckled, sand-colored, lean, sandy woman is making her sick at heart. And she was empty-handed. There we go. She went to the kitchen. Okay, so are we actually getting the shock treatment? I'm kind of confused right now. No breakfast today. There must be a mistake. Are you sure it's Greenwood? The barefaced treachery of Dr. Nolan. I liked Dr. Nolan. I loved her. It is a little, there's many levels of deception here, you know. This reminds me a little bit of that movie The Island, which I no longer remember very well, but like this sort of like oh yeah, Belse's is the better place. Oh, there's no shock treatment there, and you go there and everything looks nice and everyone's just chattering and gossiping and you get all these little comforts, but then you're getting the shock treatment. And then that puts a sinister twist on the, oh, you won't be getting any more visitors, you know, and then smiling when Esther says, I hate you to her mother, you know. Things are clearly getting worse, even though her situation is actually getting better and everything seems to be getting better, and her paranoia is being justified. And it does feel a little evil, you know, to treat people like that. Ugh. Wait, let me do a quick check on The Island. Just want to see if that's like a good movie to even refer to here. Wikipedia, The Island movie. Michael Bay. This is a Michael Bay movie? Dang. I really don't remember this. McGregor, who struggles to fit into the highly structured world in which he lives, isolated. Oh, this is not about an insane asylum. It's about like a little dystopia thing. Okay. It's different from what I was thinking. Wasn't there like a psychological thriller with Leonardo DiCaprio? Shutter Island. Oh my god. The Island, Shutter Island. There we go. That makes way more sense because I was not expecting Michael Bay's name to come out when I was looking this up. There we go. The hospital for the criminally insane on Shutter Island. We get flashbacks. Okay. I'm assuming there's deception. I'm assuming there's a lot of deception in this story. Because I don't really remember it right now. Lahane's inspiration for the hospital and island setting was Long Island, Boston Harbor. The Shutter Island novel is a whole other thing. Film noir, horror genres. Okay, I'll just leave it alone. Can't really see anything to hook my interest on, but I do feel like there's some. Sorry, I got distracted by this. I got distracted by the sentence. Something terrible is afoot. Sadly, that something turns out to be the movie itself. That's so... that is such a good burn. Anyway, I remember watching Shutter Island like a long time ago with my then girlfriend, and I just remember her being really pissed that I figured out the ending before I saw the ending, and that's all I really remember about that movie. A little low-key flex there. I'm gonna go back to the story now. Here we go. And just to finish off that loop, do I recommend Shutter Island as like a tangential watch along with this book? Maybe. I don't even know anymore. Here we go. She would have had dignity if she knew it was coming, but now it just happens as a surprise. She's deceived, she's betrayed. Dr. Nolan hugged me. Promise you'll be there. Okay, there's a lot of attachment to this Dr. Nolan, you know, a little bit of like Stockholm syndrome, and it's a little disturbing. Electrotherapy. Let's get it over with. Wooden bench. Oof. Cadaverous woman. I wonder if I like this tall cadaverous description. I wonder if this story might be improved actually with a little bit more flowery language to describe, kind of paint the subjective picture of that scene. So if every scene was a little bit more unhinged, you know, we're seeing more imagery, would the story be better? I don't know. You tell me your thoughts. She'll take good care of you. I've told her about you. This is the cadaverous woman, right? Buck teeth. Maps of the craters on the moon. High bed. Sheet. Machine. Mast. Flanking masked people, creepy. Help me climb up and down. I'll climb up, lie down. Talk to me. Just bite down. She said something on my tongue. In panic, I bit down, and darkness wiped me out like chalk on a blackboard. I don't like that image personally, but the scene is. She gets blacked out immediately, which is surprising because it's the truth. The doctor told the truth. Okay, I want to just check because I do need to budget my time a little bit. The last. Oh, there's only. Hang on. Okay. I have about 35 more pages to read. Okay, got it. Here we go. Esther, sleep. Dr. Nolan. Blue sky. Heat fear purge itself. At peace. The bell jar hung suspended. Okay, interesting how this comes back. But I forgot the original image. It feels like she's suffocating in that bell jar, right? Stewing in my sour air, and now she is able to breathe. So it feels like the electrotherapy is working, right? Interesting little twist here. It was like I told you it would be, wasn't it? Yes. It will always be like that. 3 times a week. That depends on you and me. I used to love knives or something. My mind slipped from the noose of the thought and swung like a bird in the center of empty air. That's interesting. My mind slipped from the noose of the thought. It like slipped away from that thought, but noose is kind of vaguely menacing, or kind of explicitly menacing, really. And my thought swung like a bird in the center of empty air. Like the mind is kind of loosed. It's sort of released from thought. I thought how sad it was that Joan looked so horsey. Why, she couldn't even keep a boy like Buddy Willard. So all of these people are happier, but they're also all like dumber, right? They've been made dumber. Good for you. Don't you want to know who it's from? All right, who from? Who is this he? Are you going to marry him? No, I said, are you? Oh, it was his family. Buddy Willard. Yes. Until you came. Are you going to let him come? I don't know. That I had stopped hanging on. Interesting how long this lingering feeling about Buddy goes on. She had already renounced him. She had already rejected him, rebuffed him. But now and yet she's not really done. Doors had locks, patients no keys. One knocked and knocked again, and then went away. Vision clears, low giggle shape. Dee Dee watching me. The music. Hang on, what happened here? I remember this as I stood, my eyes half useless. Okay, it's kind of weirdly creepy, and I don't know what's happening right now. Hello, Esther. I'll come play the bottom part with you. So apparently she's playing chopsticks now too. What the heck is going on? Um, Sometimes I wonder if I made up Joan. What does a woman see in a woman that she can't see in a man? Tenderness. I like you better than Buddy. So what's happening now, and what I'm certain of now, is that, look at this, right? We're right now in her thoughts with her interaction with Joan, but then we go to noon. We go to noon, and then we go right back to Joan. And so we really are starting to chop up the time sequence and like kind of go back and forth. It's getting very messy now. Wait, is this two girls we're talking about? And as she stretched out on my bed with a silly smile, because Joan is in her bed apparently, I remembered a scandal when when two girls started seeing too much of each other. They were always together, and once somebody couldn't. Embracing in the fat girl's room. Men and men and woman and woman. I can't imagine. So we're talking about gay girls. Millie was sitting on the chair and Theodora was lying on the bed. Millie was stroking Theodora's hair. I wondered if all women did with other women was lie and hug. Of course, the famous woman poet in my college lived with another woman. What about your career? She cried. Why did I attract all these weird old women? The poet, Philomena, JC, Christian Scientist lady. These weirdos wanted to adopt me. Have me resemble them. I like you. That's tough, Joan. Because I don't like you. You make me puke, if you want to know. So Joan... What's going on? Okay, we're having like a little moment of... it was interesting. It was like a moment, an encounter with like a lesbian... the world and emotions, the emotional world of lesbians for a bit, and we reject it. So Joan, I guess, is one of the weird women in Esther's life. Old friend, wise man. Wait, what kind of doctor is this? What, a fitting, an illegal thing. A fit. Waiting, full of other patients waiting for doctors, pregnant or with babies. A fitting, isn't it? What the heck? I don't even know. I don't know what this could be. If it's illegal, she's at an abortion clinic? But why would she be at the abortion clinic? It's because it's the friend of Dr. Nolan? Buying my freedom. A baby. Wait, was she actually pregnant? I don't remember this part of the story, just maybe because, I don't know, maybe because I was reading it at bad intervals. I don't know what happened. I'm guessing this is the first time, right? She works at a she works at a hospital. And she sees babies before. Okay. You know, I'm gonna move on. I just don't remember. A man doesn't have to worry in the world while I have a baby hanging over my head. Okay, so this is a classic um, 20th century feminist problem. Okay. Um, and it's something that I think all modern women in the West and in any westernized country thinks about. Propaganda, baby talk, babies, 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 pablum, diapers. Why was I so unmaternal and apart? Interesting bit of self reflection here. You'd like a fitting. Yes. What is this? What, I don't know what's going on right now. Oh, is this like a contraceptive? Uh, my box. I might have been. Mrs. Anybody coming back from a day in town. I was my own woman. I'm assuming what happened here is that she got freedom from marrying the wrong person just because of sex, freedom from. I don't know what the fitting would be, but she might have what it was, sterilized herself. Is that the right word? This is not some. It's not a procedure I've thought of in a long like. I can't even imagine right now what it is. So female sterilization 1950s. I'm appendectomy, the Mississippi appendectomy. Oh, that's crazy that they did that. It's actually insane that they did that. Oh, dude. Okay, this is talking about the racial dimension right now, but I do want to focus just on. Oh, okay. I guess when we talk about sterilization, we really are talking about racial. Involuntary. So I think she sterilized herself, and I don't know what the word for it is. I'm gonna. Insane. Okay, so the word sterilization, I don't know what word they would have used at the time, because I guess sterilization has a really negative connotation and has a. Um, dude, I'm. Wait, is my shortcut didn't work. I thought I was showing you my screen. I'm sorry. That's kind of annoying. Okay. A feminist, voluntary sterilization, feminist eugenics. But anyway, there are apparently many ways of sterilizing a woman in the past. Ew, that's a horrible image. Oh, dude, insane. Virginia's law provided for the sterilization of mental defectives to promote the health of the patient and welfare of society. Men were to be sterilized by vasectomy and salpingectomy. Removes a fallopian tube. Whoa, crazy. That is crazy. This is a whole area of American history I just didn't know about. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, public welfare may call upon the best citizens for their lives, cannot call upon those who already sap the strength of the state. So the worst citizens, quote unquote, for lesser sacrifices, as in not to kill themselves, but to sterilize themselves. It is better for all the world if instead of waiting to execute degenerate offspring for their crime or to let them starve for their imbecility, society can prevent. So this eugenics position, which is probably horrifying to the modern ear, was taken up by Oliver Wendell Holmes. Crazy. In sum, 3 generations of imbeciles are enough. And this was at a time when we were talking about the genetic heritability of these diseases a lot more openly. What an disease is maybe not the right word, but the genetic heritability of the traits of these traits. But it's still an extreme. It's an extreme solution to mandate that kind of thing. Wow, and it feels horrible. And then the racial implications of the application. Ooh, that's looks really bad. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna put that aside now. Let's go back. Apparently my shortcuts no longer work, so back to manually changing this. Okay, here we are, back at iPad. Now, in this story, we're not getting forced sterilization, but I just learned about salpingectomy. Let me see how to pronounce that. Salpingectomy. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. Oof, rough, man. What the hell? You just cut that off? Yeah. So that was a sterilization process that existed back in the day, and maybe that's what she just did. The crazy thing is, of course, Dr. Nolan agrees with this because this is kind of the ethos of that time. She's going to be on the side of sterilizing the crazy lady who is Esther Greenwood. Man, intense. Moving on. Irwin. Sometimes it hurts. Oh, are they having sex? Five past four. Oh, dude. I'm like kind of disturbed. Because isn't this the liberation that the third wave feminists. I'm forgetting the waves of feminism right now, but I'm guessing by this time we have third wave feminists, right? First wave is the vote, second wave is still more practically oriented, and third wave is when we start getting when we get the wave of feminists that people criticize for being too abstract. Is that am I getting that roughly right? Anyway, trying to that's all kind of fuzzy in my head. I can't sort it out right now, but basically, isn't this the third wave feminist freedom that we're all talking about? And now she's having sex with this guy named Irwin that she met at the top of a long flight of stairs, preparing to catch a trolley back to asylum, when a tall young man with a rather ugly and bespectacled but intelligent face came up and said, "Could you tell me the time?" A bony wrist. I was gonna say asylum, but said home. And he hits on her. "Would you like some coffee?" A very small cup of coffee. I decided to practice my new normal personality. She saw his study, so got to his apartment apparently, and seduced him. It may be a lady. You would upset her? Okay, well, he's cheating on his wife right now. Wait, can't be the wife because it's a doorbell, so something weird. I suppose you have lots and lots of affairs in Cambridge. I seem to get on with the ladies. Butter. Another professor's wife. Jesus. Oh, the 1950s. The pale, hairless skin of a boy genius. And Irwin's ladies reassured me. Impersonal. So he checks all the boxes. No doubts about Irwin. My virginity weighed like a millstone around my neck. Okay, interesting passage here. I mean, just, okay, again, literarily, I'm not that interested, like I said at the beginning of this stream, but kind of just like at a social interest level. I mean, there's a lot to learn from this story. Flung me down. I lay. Wow. So practicing birth control during the day, I don't even know what that means. You know, I wonder if this has been searched up before. I literally. Sorry, my shortcut is not working. But I'll show you what I'm looking up. Okay, I'm looking for. Okay, I have to manually my shortcuts. Trying to figure out this one, but these are all just passages. Yeah, it's not there. None of these are going to be there. I guess I just have to go forward. I don't know what that even means. The delicate and necessary operation of practicing. I don't even, She's on the blanket. The change of virgin to not virgin, it hurts. I wasn't sure if Erwin had done what he had planned to, or if my virginity had obstructed him in some way. Am I still a virgin? A warm liquid. My fingertips look black. Bring me a towel. Half black with blood. I'm bleeding. Oh, that often happens. You'll be all right. Then the stories came back. I smiled into the dark. I felt part of a great tradition. Okay, yeah. Yeah, dude. Uh girl girl power? Girl power, I think. Is that the right reaction here? Dude, that actually is an interesting that's an interesting reaction too. It occurred to me that my blood was the answer. I couldn't possibly be a virgin anymore. I smiled into the dark. I felt part of a great tradition. And I think the interesting thing is that the world since this was published in 1963, was it? The world since then has changed so much that I don't think anyone would really react in this way anymore, but we might have echoes of it. Um, dude, I what a radical story to tell, right, in 1963. Yeah, I wonder how many other stories were being told that were like this. But sounds to me, it sounds like it must have been pretty radical. I thought I could be dying from a bullet wound, and Joan would still stare through me with her blank eyes, expecting me to ask for a cup of coffee and a sandwich. Is a funny, is a funny takedown of Joan. Um, no, she's on night duty at Kaplan. Good. I mean, bad. Still, she hadn't noticed anything. I'm hemorrhaging. Who was that man? She honestly took my explanation at face value. Get a towel. Perhaps Irwin had injured me. Irwin had injured me in some awful obscure way, and all the while I lay there on the and all the while I lay there on Joan's sofa, I was really dying. Uh, it's a it's an interesting insight into like the initial fears and the initial experience and the uncertainty around sex. Um, Man, I think just if you're a young man or a young woman. Now, for a young woman, it's more obvious, and you actually don't need to read this book to get all the advice. Um, we live in a much more open world, um, and we talk much more frankly about sex nowadays than we did in the past, uh, at least in the Western Christian world. And so this book is probably less necessary to like a young woman growing up right now, but I do wonder, like, this might be an interesting insight for young men trying to get into the psychology of young women, and just kind of understanding what this first experience and like the initial, the sort of what do you call it, like the paranoias, the uncertainty, the hesitation, the self-doubt, the self-shame that young women grow up with regarding sex. What's going on here? I'm losing track. Oh, doctors. Sunday, the doctor's paradise. Doctors at country clubs, doctors at the seaside, doctors with mistresses, doctors with wives, doctors in church, doctors in yachts. Being people, not doctors. It's also a pre-internet world, so you can't just look up things. You're one in a million. It's one in a million happens. It happens to be like it. There's one. I mean, it's one in a million. It happens to like this. Oh, I can fix it all right. Come in. So bleeding like that is not normal, but she bled a lot. Like the face of the Cheshire cat. She kills herself. Dang. Of all Dang, of all people. Okay. Final chapter. All right, before I do this final chapter, I do want to take a quick break. And there was a lot of sex in the previous chapters, so I want to talk a bit about. I want to make a big disclaimer since I know that a lot of my audience, you guys are young people, so I wanna I want to talk about the issue of sex more directly for a bit, and then we'll get back into chapter 20 and finish this book off. Gonna take a quick break. See you in a bit. Hey, what's up? I should be back, but I'm trying to fix my shortcuts, which are very annoyingly not working. Still not working. Huh. There's something with the. I wonder if I can fix it real quick, but I won't spend too much time on this. I just wanna see if I can fix it with a couple of steps. No, it still doesn't work. Okay. I don't even know. All right. Well, that's it for that. I'll get back to the stream itself. So, so far we had some we had a twist. We had a twist where she actually does get shock therapy, but it doesn't really affect her that much. In fact, if anything, it makes her better for a bit. But it's clear that it's not a very good therapy because Joan, who probably has been getting that therapy on her own, ends up killing herself, even though all the signs are pointing to her being better, right? She's out in society or whatever. So this hospital institution is failing Joan at least, and probably is also failing. By inference, it's probably failing Esther as well. So we don't really know what exactly is going to happen with Esther. I can't predict it because this plot seems a little bit. The plot doesn't feel like the main point of the story. It's like things just happen and things just get worse, but the tone of the sort of the tone of the story doesn't get worse. It's only the incidents that are getting worse, and I don't know what's gonna happen really. Weirdly, there's a bit of girl power, like positive developments, I guess, going on in the midst of all of this. She sterilizes herself, she has sex, and she moves on with her dream of her life. So is she going to kill herself? I guess is the main plot question that's remaining. I'm trying to imagine a satisfying ending to this story, but for me, I really don't know what they're. I can't imagine a very satisfying emotional payoff. I'm trying to think. I guess, yeah, I guess I'll just go in for the ride and just see what happens. My prediction is she probably does kill herself, but like, is that going to be satisfying? Like, uh, and if she does kill herself, then what's the point, right? The whole point of the story is this girl from the country goes to the city, has all this potential, but the world kind of fails her. She has nothing to do with all of her potential. She just has to be a woman bound to her biology, bearing children, but she can't. She refuses it. She hates it. She doesn't want kids. She finally has sex. And it's this like kind of horrific, weird experience where she bleeds like an insane amount, and she dies. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, honestly. But we learn a lot along the way about that world, about the world, the inner world of woman, and also the outer world of the 1950s. So I guess there is that. Mm. All right. So now my little chat about sex. I know I have a lot of like young viewers here, and I think the key thing for me to say is I'm not here to teach you, what is right or what is wrong. I think you have your own resources for that. You have your parents, you have your family, um, you have your communities, and some of those communities, by the way, are not going to be the best for learning about sex. There are toxic communities. Um, and you have like, but some potentially positive communities you have around you is like the community of like your church or religious institution, or or maybe like cultural practices in your culture, in your country slash cultural niche, and uh, there's a lot of there's a lot of bad advice, and there's a lot of bad actors in the world, and just be aware of it. Don't like learn from one person. Learn from the whole accumulation of evidence around what is good and what is bad, and make your own decisions. That's how you become an adult. And sex is actually one of the big. It's one of the big moral problems of life. I mean, because sex is kind of special. I don't think there is not a stronger, more urgent, more immediate binder of people than sex. I think it has this intense attraction. It's a very powerful attractor, and it's a very powerful binder of two people. And there are ways that there are many answers that people have come up with for how to deal with that kind of force. Like, on the one hand, you could kind of solidify it into a institution like marriage. Like, you use that force for what is supposed to be what could be a positive. Use that force to bind two people together and to create a family around it. Conversely, and I have friends on both sides of this spectrum. Conversely, on the opposite end, you can have like the really intense, powerful attractor, and kind of dull its force to some extent by sharing it with more people. And I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I'm just here to tell you that there's a lot of that it is a uniquely powerful force. You can really hurt a lot of people if you use this force. If you misuse this force, you can hurt people really deeply with this force. You can yourself be hurt really deeply by the misuse of this force, and it can and thinking about this force in even the wrong way can hurt you or hurt other people in really, really like insidious ways, right? Take that how you please, but just use your moral judgment and use the evidence, the accumulation of evidence at hand as you experience more and more of the world. Be good, guys. Be good. Think about what the appropriate boundaries are, and negotiate that for yourself in your country, in your culture, in your city, in your community, with your people, with the people you love, in and around you. And don't feel alone. You can ask. Like, if you need advice, ask the people around you for advice. Learn more rather than kind of just like hiding away from the problem and just sort of doing things secretly and maybe feeling guilty or not feeling, like getting into that. You're not actually alone with this problem, okay? Talk to people. Okay, so that's just my general disclaimer about that. And I hope you find that helpful, because and I may call it something, I may label it something, but I'm only doing that I'm doing that with the intention of informing you, hopefully being a guide to you of the various positions there are around sex. I'm not endorsing or condemning anything. Unless there's an obvious, to me, unless there's something obviously morally wrong, I'm not going to endorse or condemn anything. And so please do not confuse my reactions of like trying to introduce this idea to you as an endorsement or a condemnation. It's just I'm hoping to be informative and helping you as you accumulate more evidence on what is right, what is wrong. All right, so that is my little aside on sex. It is very important in the development of people to figure out how you will approach it and how you will be a better person dealing with this extremely powerful force that is kind of biologically embedded in you. How you will be like answering that as you grow older and older and live this life that you have. Okay, so that's just my perspective on this. All right, let's get back to the story now. What the? How come that one works? Okay, my shortcuts are just completely unpredictable. Here we go. Chapter 20, final chapter. Let's finish this. What's going on? Okay. Chapter 20. I'm losing track. Oh, Joan killed herself. Here we go. Fresh fall of snow. Asylum. Deluge. Huge. She could leave. This is the winter. The winter term is about to begin. Everybody would know about me, of course. She came out in the news even, right? People would treat you gingerly, avoid you like a leper. Still, she had obviously decided to forgive me, my mom. We'll take it where we left off, she said. She had said. A bad dream. To the person in the bell jar, blank and stopped as a dead baby, the world itself is the bad dream. I remembered everything. I remembered the cadavers and Doreen, and the cadavers with Buddy Willard, Doreen with the cowboy guy, the story of the fig tree, the guy where the Jewish guy gets kind of shirked by the Catholic lady or whatever. Marco's diamond, which is the guy who almost rapes Esther, and the sailor on the common, okay, who she chats with, flirts with, and then Dr. Gordon's wall-eyed nurse. I don't remember that one. The broken thermometers, the Negro, 2 kinds of beans. Don't remember that right now. Insulin, wow. 20 pounds. I don't remember the rock. Maybe forgetfulness, like a kind snow, should numb and cover them, but they were part of me, they were my landscape. Ooh, interesting. But this feels like an interesting little summary, and I don't know what to do with this summary here. Summary kind of helping you with the theme, I guess, of the story as we get in to the ending. A man to see you. Bounces. Buddy Willard comes in, waiting for emotion, but nothing other than boredom. shovel. Wait, I'll come and help you. Interesting. Curiosity and awareness from the Christian Scientist. Okay. It's you who oughtn't to dig out cars, buddy, not me. Did let me do most of the work because he was injured. The sun, summer brilliance, in the winter, pausing. She feels a thrill to see the trees. It's like the skiing episode. Grateful for the car and the snowdrift. It kept him from asking what I knew he was gonna ask. Are you okay, maybe? Dee Dee was eyeing us. Oh no, after Joan's death. I've been wondering. I thought you might be able to tell me about Joan, maybe. He changed. His face was grave, tentative. He's not the same old buddy. Do you think there's something in me that drives women? He's feeling bad. I couldn't help myself. And the common drives women crazy, and obviously driving women crazy. The common meaning of the word crazy in a sentence like that is like making them crazy for him. First you. Of course you didn't do it, I heard Dr. Nolan say. Nobody did it, she did it. And Dr. Nolan herself is vested in this, has a vested interest in this, right? Dr. Nolan doesn't want to blame herself for the ineffectiveness of the treatment. I wonder if she's actually going to just be let go and she's not going to kill herself. Actually, I can't tell. I hope so. Be seeing you. Not if I know it. The bell jar wouldn't descend again. How was I? Yeah, it could always happen again. I wonder who you'll marry now. What? Now you've been here. Of course I didn't know who would marry me now that I've been where I've been. I didn't know at all. I have a bill here, Irwin. Ooh, right back to Irwin. This was the first time I was really sure it would be the last. Perfectly free. Whoa. I'll go. I wondered what I thought I was bearing. Jody's cheeks. Who's Jody? Cambridge. Old friend. Black, 6-foot deep gap hacked in the hard ground. That shadow would marry this shadow. And yet another snowfall erased the traces of newness in her grave. I am I am. Oh, do I remember this? Does this show up at all? It does. She tries to kill herself. I am. Okay. There ought to be a ritual for being born twice. All right, Esther. I rose and followed her to the open door. I saw the silver-haired doctor and the pocked cadaver face of Miss Huey. The eyes and faces all turned themselves toward me, and guiding myself by them as if by a magical thread, I stepped into the room. Is that the end? It is. We don't know. Oh, wow. That was more satisfying than I expected at the ending. I actually probably should have predicted that kind of ending, at least as a possibility. Because, yeah, it's definitely way more enticing to write it that way. She just sees all their faces, and that's the end. That actually gave me a bit of chills. Whoa. Okay, that was the bell jar. My assessment of the book overall doesn't change much, so I'll keep it short and simple. Guys, I think this is a pretty good book in terms of like learning the interior world of like a young woman coming to grips with the city, her career, her sexuality, her mind, uh, and her place in the world overall, right? And it's also a good look into the outer world of the 1950s, the exterior world of the 1950s, in particular, the kind of sexual mores of that time, and how society kind of plays out, what people judged each other on. We're getting the beginning of like the university boom. We're getting people moving into the cities after the war and building out their sort of like artistic careers and stuff. We're getting and women missing out, and white women. Obviously, there's other things happening in this time period, but white women missing out on what the white men are doing, are able to do with their art and stuff. We're getting rape culture. Did I mention? I did mention the sexual, yeah, but like to be more explicit, we're getting rape culture and what that looked like. We're getting. Oh, and the big one, the facilities, the medical institutions of the day, and how. But we don't really condemn them. Actually, it's interesting. They're just sort of a player. This is an extremely neutral story, but yeah, we get a little bit about the medical institutions of the day and how they kind of work. So there's a lot to learn about. Generally, those two halves of the world, the interior and the exterior, that is contained in this book. But in terms of like, for me personally, in terms of like the literary interest, like in terms of like reading the thing and enjoying the sentences, enjoying the plot, enjoying how it's constructed, that was a little lacking for me. It wasn't too interesting for me. Even though I wasn't bothered by the sort of superficial and racial undertones of the superficial judgments and racial undertones or overtones, honestly, of some of the characterizations in this story. Like, even though I mean, they were annoying, but I wasn't really bothered by them too much. It just because it's just the product of the era, and the character herself is kind of immature, and maybe Sylvia Plath was immature. I don't know, man. But like, even if I kind of neglect and sort of like look over all of that, it just, yeah, it just didn't do a lot for me. A couple interesting sentences here and there throughout, a couple interesting paragraphs here and there throughout, but not a lot for me to hold on to during this book. So I would say overall, this is one of my biggest failures on my reading streams, to actually genuinely engage with like a high level of intellectual and emotional investment. I would grade my intellectual and emotional investment in this story at like a, I don't know, from out of 10, it's probably like a, like a smooth 4, 3 or 4 throughout. I wasn't so invested in this story. So I'm wondering how you guys reacted to it. If you guys had parts that you guys got much more excited about or much more interested in, what would that be? What was that for you? And if you can kind of crack this story better than I could, I'd be grateful for your insights, for what made you excited when you were reading this thing. All right, so that's it for me. The Bell Jar, it's over. My 2-week vacation, it's about to come to a close. I'll start a new book and start a new schedule, and I'll upload that program onto YouTube and let you guys know what I'm up to. Haven't really decided my next book yet, so just let me know if you have thoughts on what I should be reading. I do have a Notion page that has a list of books that are on my mind, but I haven't made a choice yet. So you can find that in the description, which is for down here. Just click on it, and until next time, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace.